mid lane like we saw last game with that Zoe in the first pick, because I think Zoe honestly is a really solid champion. Both these players can play Zoe, and we saw what she was capable of doing last game. So, what's it going to be for that first pick? Do we have the mid lane prio, or is it something a bit more contained?
Similar bans from both sides though. You can see the Aatrox being removed, Talia, Nocturne. A little bit odd from Schalke, you know, Talon Rise and Rakan. Rakan very good. Talon, we saw in the last game how effective he can be, but not always the most common bans there. And Swain is the first pick, so could be mid, could be bot. No Zoe priority, and immediately Selfie picks it up for himself.
And the Kindred pick again. This is seeing way more play in this patch. All regions are playing the Kindred. She's really, really solid. One of the best carry junglers if you're looking for extra damage coming out of that jungle role. Already seen it once already, of course, today, with Joko playing it from Giants.
Yeah, it didn't win though.
It didn't win, but it was honestly pretty decent. You know, you have a bit more of a chill early game and you can farm up, but let's ignore the Kindred pick, because this in itself is exciting. The Yasuo Alistar, that combination is insane. When you have the knockout coming through from Ali, that sets up the combo from Yasuo. I like it. And if this is going to be the year of the duck, why not pick Yasuo?
It's true. I really like that combination. Could, of course, put upset on the Yasuo. It's something he's played a couple of times and would work out well for them. So a lot of different... Actually, hasn't played it. Sorry, it's only been played by NukeDuck in that lane. But there's still a lot of flexibility here for Schalke. The only really not flexible thing is the Alistar. It's probably going to go to the support. We haven't seen jungle Alistar in quite a long time.
No, but I did try a funnel in solo queue with Alistar jungle.
Did it work?
No.
Unsurprising, really, for one of your games. Tahm Kench is the next pick here for H2K, someone to gobble someone out from the knock-up combination. And now we get into that second stage of bans.
And Schalke will be focusing on that top lane pinch, if that Swain is in the top lane, because I'm still thinking there is a chance that that could be a top lane Swain.
Yeah. What would make it a top lane Swain for you? Like, what would the rest of the composition be, or what would the matchup have to be for you?
Well, I think that it kind of depends on what H2K obviously do in their bans and in the with their pick, with the AD carry pick as well. I think that's the benefit of having that flex, is you don't need to decide straight away what it's going to do, unless obviously you're trying to trick the opposing team into thinking it's a certain way. So they can, Schalke honestly can just decide a bit later on, where is this Swain going to go?
It's the beauty of a flex pick.
That is the beauty of the flex pick.
I just want to come back to your Kindred point as well, because we've talked about how she's been picked up a lot more. We saw her in the last game as well. Do you want to guess her win rate in the EU LCS at the moment?
27.5.
It's 30%, so you're very close. A lot of people picking her. Yeah. She's not always that effective.
No, and that could be because she's one of these champions that was nowhere for a very long time. You know, you just did not pick Kindred. The whole kind of mechanic of finding your marks was something that was way harder to do in competitive than it is in solo queue. Just the nature of the beasts. But now she's actually risen to prominence, and maybe players just aren't used to playing her. Honestly, that could generally be an answer. And obviously, maybe it could also be people copying the Koreans and actually not being Korean, so not working.
It's true. Now you need to copy China though, because they're the best region in the world.
Absolutely.
I really like the Gragas pick here. Denies it from that sort of soft counter against the Kindred. Gives you a bit more displacement as a team as well.
It does, but we are seeing the Darius and Mundo ban, which for me, honestly, I'd rather go up against the Gragas, personally. And it looks like it will be that Swain in the bot lane, as a Poppy is locked in against this Gragas. This is an interesting matchup, this one. We've seen this a bit more, the Poppy being played a tad more in competitive league. And I think into the Gragas specifically, it's got decent wave clear. It matches nicely into him. And then you can get that block from the body slam. You put your W up, and it just completely blocks away that belly slam, so the engage from Gragas becomes a lot less reliable. So you can protect your team much better with this pick.
And it is something we've seen Chachi play already this year. He played against Giants. Actually, the split last week was part of that 2-0 week that they were able to acquire. So I like it as a pick. That was the funnel game they played at the start of last week, though. No real funnel going on here. You've got traditional tank jungler, strong bottom lane. The CC chain there with the Alistar and the Swain is so strong. Because as soon as you jump in, get a knock-up, you yank them back, pull them back towards you.
Absolutely, and with this Tahm Kench pick as well was picked relatively early in the draft, but I think it actually works really well with how the draft is shaped up from Schalke's side. The Sejuani specifically, if you get ulted as Sejuani, usually it is a ticket, a one-way ticket to the Shadow Realm. But if you got the Tahm Kench to gobble up whoever got that Sejuani ultimate, whoever ate it, then you can protect them, and I think that also works from a knock-up for the Yasuo setup and stuff like that. So I do think the Tahm Kench pick here makes sense, and Promisq, if he can make it work on him and is in the right place at the right time, because a lot of it comes down to positioning here, we could see this Tahm Kench pick be very, very effective.
Eyes on Promisq then for us, for H2K, who are still looking for their first win of Spring Split. Ending the first half of the split 0-9 is not something anyone ever wants to do. Schalke, coming off the back of their first ever 2-0 week. They have previously played, they've gone 2-0 in series, but they lost games within those series. So I'm counting this as their first ever undefeated week as an organization. If they can match it up again, play against Unicorns tomorrow, play against H2K today, have to think that maybe they can get to 6-4, maybe they can get towards those playoff berths and start to actually realize their potential as a team.
Yeah, and we potential for Schalke. But these are two games that you can't really afford to drop. H2K is starting it off here today. Let's see whether or not Schalke can have another 2-0 week. And honestly, for H2K, let's see if they can pull an H2K and turn it around. They're 1-7, I believe, at mid-split in the spring.
I think they got 2-7 after 9 games.
Right.
So it was 1-7 at this point.
Yeah.
And after this, at the midpoint, they would have been 2-7.
Fair enough. So it's close to 0-8.
Yes. So it is very close.
You know,
right. However, there they had won a game.
According to the script, they were just one game off of where they wanted to be.
So this is the script you wrote for us. So last year we had the one, we had the one that we had edited. Now we have the traditional Foxdrop script.
If I had access to the script for the LCS, do you think I'd be worse than Twitter at predictions?
Maybe you're just playing the long con. And like next year, you'll come in and
Right.
get 100% predictions. Everyone's going to be like, what's going on?
Yeah. My redemption arc for when they write an anime about me is going to start right here. I like it.
I can't wait for the Foxdrop anime. It's going to be a sight to behold. Amazing starting bottom side here, Shook starting top. I know you know a lot about junglers, and I want to talk about this matchup as well, because we've got the Kindred, we've got the Sejuani. Last time we saw 2 skirmish-heavy junglers, where Xerxes came out on top on the Camille. This time, Sejuani is not really that skirmish-heavy. She can gank, but she's more of a tank.
Yes, and Sejuani is one of these champions who absolutely wants to play towards that level 6. She doesn't want to do too much early. A passive early game for Sejuani, a passive Sejuani is a happy Sejuani, because she wants to unlock that glacial prison to be able to engage and get these ganks. It's night and day between pre-6 and post-6 on Sejuani. So playing around the ultimate, absolutely going to be on Amazing's mind here. With that in mind, Shook might be able to say, okay, Sejuani's not going to want to do too much this game. How can I use that against him? How can I get advantages, maybe with cheeky little invades? And this play here, Amazing looks like he wants to try and contest this one, because not only is this a crab, it's also a mark for Shook as well.
Amazing steps forward. Shook lands a Dance of Arrows, and Amazing gets it now. Able just to dodge away as well. NukeDuck coming in from the side just to protect him, and first blood. Well, not first blood, obviously, but first shot to Amazing.
Yeah, sure. But like I mentioned,
First crab to Amazing.
It's gone down, and like I said, not just the crab. That is Kindred's mark, and we saw from the last game as well. It can take a long time to even get the second mark of the game, because these marks spawn in the enemy jungle. They're not easy marks to take unless you are putting that mark on enemy players and able to get those kills down, which is easier said than done, obviously. The crowd goes mild. Then that first mark might mean a lot.
Amazing coming in for the gank here. Selfie will flash away. Did land the sleep as well onto NukeDuck and trade some damage back into him. We have always talked about Selfie and Sheriff as the 2 players that could really stand out for H2K. If you can unleash some of that extra damage that they get towards the mid and late game, especially something like a Zoe. Like, if you can get her ahead, Selfie could just absolutely take over this game.
Well, Selfie's always been regarded as one of these players who quite highly rated in the public eye, and other players respect him too. Being on a 0-8 team, it seems like Selfie deserves better than that, but deserves is a strong word to use, because, I mean, if you're 0-8, you're 0-8, right? Exactly. But if you are looking for something to happen out of someone, Selfie can be your boy. He's definitely good. He's a good player individually. He's good mechanically, and Zoe is a champion. I mean, you don't need to look further back than last game when Nisky was playing her. You can have strong individual impact. So is Selfie going to be that kind of player today?
And you have to look at the other side of the rift in his matchup as well. NukeDuck is the person he is facing into. We've already heard Deficio wail away on how good NukeDuck is. But again, the measure of a good mid laner is his team. Last week he had an incredible week, played amazingly well. Sheriff gobbled up by Promisq down here towards the bottom lane. Vision of Empire, Promisq still in the belly, flashes at the end to keep himself safe. But last week, NukeDuck had an amazing week. He needs to be a bit more consistent. Promisq actually turning someone round on towards Vander.
What is happening?
Promisq flashes.
Whoa! He just 1v2'd for a first blood.
An amazing comes out. It's like, no, I'm getting nowhere near that catfish. He'll gobble me up.
That is ridiculous. I love how you were just so settled on nothing happening there that you were just kept talking about.
Just like, oh, you know, he's got away, escape, sure. H2K losing the early game in the bottom lane, fine. And it's like, nah.
That is ridiculous.
I'm Tahm Kench.
Yeah, Tahm Kench can do magical things, apparently. On the plus side for Schalke, no assists, no kill participation for Sheriff, and they did still get his flash, but I don't really know what to say. This started off as a really good engage from Schalke, leading to a clean disengage. You think nothing else is going to happen here. Upset, Sheriff, sorry, doesn't even jump out of the belly, so has to flash. But then it's like, then this happens. I mean, what? I can't say much more about it. Just exactly what you're seeing is what happens, and just ridiculous. I mean, it's honestly ridiculous. A Promisq of all people.
Exactly, and it's a balance between having the Glacial Augment, being able to get those slows off, and perhaps a bit of misdodging there from Upset and Vander, because I feel like Upset should have tanked up a shot a little bit earlier on. I'm going to put my jacket on while we go live.
Can I wear it back to front?
I just put it on back to front in the middle. Yeah, I know we have to teach you casting at times, but putting on clothes is something you should be able to do for yourself, Foxdrop.
Should is a dangerous word, my friend.
That's true.
It sets an expectation.
Well, we've got a pause going on, so we'll see what the league officials tell us is the problem. Great stuff from H2K, and we talked about redemption arcs for you in terms of prediction. Is this the start of H2K's redemption arc? 0-8, maybe?
Yeah, I feel like 5 minutes into the game, that is a tall one to start talking about, honestly. But, I mean, all good things have to start somewhere, right? And
exactly, and an early kill against a lane that is very strong and was ahead. We'll have another look at that early kill, actually. This is a great start for H2K and for Promisq in particular. Yeah,
and if this is opposite day and Promisq has a good game, then maybe H2K can win as well.
It's true. It's true. You can see Vander spots out Shook here up towards the top side of this fight, and Promisq positions himself aggressively, but Schalke are the ones to make the first move.
Absolutely, and grabbing Sheriff in that situation is a really good catch by Upset. So, honestly, as far as this play starts, we have to say, good job, Schalke. That was really good. You get the flash, that's a nice engage, nice bully in that 2v2, and then Tahm Kench just genuinely just decides that he wants more and just goes out and gets some more. And I love the kind of sacrificial, like, death right there from Vander. Legit, just charges in with his headbutt. Don't kill my friend, I like him, and then just actually gets squatted.
So I have found out the reason for the bug. It was a Zoe bug, had no impact on the game, so we're just doing our ready checks and we should be back into the game.
Yeah, Zoe hasn't one-shot someone yet.
Oh, so like, excuse me, the enemy isn't dead. What's going on here?
Fair enough.
So we are going to jump straight on into the action. You look at that bot lane play, I think Schalke misplayed it a little bit. I think Upset should have tanked up a shot so that Vander didn't get stunned with the tongue lash, and then you both back out. But they burn both their flashes, only the ignite remaining for that Schalke bottom lane. So now we talked about how Shook can utilize the early game. He wants to be looking down towards that bottom lane. Easy ganks, easy kills. That's where he needs to go.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes you just forget about the damage out of Tahm Kench. So respect will be coming through here. I don't think Schalke make that same mistake again. And yes, with Amazing wanting to power farm to like level 6, you still have that window of opportunity to put that aggression down. And if Selfie can get a push into the mid lane as well, you might be able to start even seeing maybe you roll him down as a four-man unit and try and get something going there. Just if you do it, make sure that you have a TP advantage, or you're not at TP disadvantage from the top side, else. Not saying that would ever happen in the US,
I'd never see that in the
that could be a little bit dangerous.
We will see if H2K start up that roam pretty soon, but a good early start for them. First blood of the split, I do believe. I may be wrong on that one, though. I'm sure our stats guys will check that one out for us. Meanwhile, in the top lane, two tanks are playing against each other.
It's really exciting stuff. I think what's going to happen, probably not much, but if we see any Iceborne gauntlets, both these champions can build Frozen Fist.
Yeah.
That will make it slightly more exciting.
I mean, but will it? Because they'll just hit each other for a little bit more and then both back off.
Yeah, but it's more exciting than whatever else would happen in that lane, honestly.
That's true.
But there is good ganks up, and honestly, if you're if you're someone like Kindred, who actually does decent shred damage and decent sustained damage onto tanky targets. I mean, we're calling them tanks, but at this stage of the game, they're still very killable. They haven't bought their tank items, and if you do get into a position where you can gank them, you can absolutely kill them. So, good gank setup as well, good CC. If you want to go for this plane, you want to go for these champions, then it's possible to have it happen. Personally, I wouldn't really look to that top side, because even if you do get a kill, meh.
Yeah.
You're putting behind a tank, does it really mean too much? Not really. And I would much prefer to see something going down, potentially in this bot side.
Well, they know Amazing was up towards the top side, so H2K have decided to make a little foray into the jungle here. Promisq eats up the chicken. Tastes like chicken, he says, I'm sure. Could a catfish actually eat a chicken? I've seen them eat, like, they've got pretty big mouths.
Yes, which, as we all know, is the determining factor of what you can eat. It's the size of your mouth. The
size of your mouth determines what you
Have you ever seen a snake?
Yes.
Because...
But they can open their mouths really wide, and they can eat really big things.
That's... You know what?
My logic is infallible, Foxdrop.
Yeah, I do give you that. I do give you that.
Thank you. Shook's going to start up the Cloud Drake here. They still know Amazing, probably up towards that top side. Did mean that Shook loses out a mark, because the mark spawned on that top side Scuttle Crab, and now Amazing has the level 6, engaging onto Smittyj here. Steadfast presence, Smittyj with a good knockback, but the knock into the wall by Chachi. Smittyj flashes, there's the stun connect, but the Glacial Prism isn't there, and Smittyj gets to safety.
And we were mentioning this Poppy semi-counter into gragas. He wasn't able to body slam for a very long time there because Poppy had that steadfast presence. So they do get flashes, but that's actually an advantage for H2K because there's 2 flashes going down from Schalke. So really not great. And outside of that, that has to be the biggest loss out of not getting something from that gank is that was your Sejuani ult.
Yep.
Now that's down. Awkward. Really, really awkward. And this stat coming through here. And is this a hashtag quick stat? Or just
no, this is a good... Quick stats are the ones that mean absolutely nothing in terms of the game.
So is a quick stat... Did you know that 6 out of 7 dwarves aren't happy? Is that a quick stat?
That's a quick stat. That is a great quick stat. But as you can see... Yeah, You broke me. You broke me, Foxdrop. As you can see, if Chachi's not involved in the kills for his team, Schalke do not tend to win. I did have confirmed that it was the first blood for H2K this split.
Nice.
So, great call by me there. Superb stuff, Medic. Keep it up.
Nice. You and I are very good at our 50-50s.
We are.
We're wrong or we're right, and this time you're right. Congratulations.
When we have a moment, I have a great pun-based joke to tell you. We'll wait for a moment of downtime, because I don't feel like that's happening right now as H2K set up around the Rift Herald. Amazing's up towards this top side as well. H2K, they get the Cloud Drake, they say, what's the next objective? Rift Herald. We're going to go for that one as well.
And Rift Herald is a rather important objective to take, much more impactful than going for a dragon like the Cloud Drake. So this Rift Herald you can use to get that tower, and First Blood Tower is still up. So having the Rift Herald available means that not only can you get a tower here, but you get that extra gold from being that First Blood Tower. The question is, where exactly do you want to put it? For me, the best places to put this Rift Herald are either just slap bang in the mid lane because that's the most valuable tower to take down, it opens up the map, or you want to put it in the lane where your tower is the most threat of going down, because then not only do you attack that lane, you also sort of defend it at the same time, if that makes sense. So we'll have to see. It's one thing to get the Herald, but H2K, how are you going to use it? And another crab with another mark goes down to Schalke, and I don't think Shook has gotten a single mark this game.
Nope, sitting at 0 marks right now.
That is suboptimal.
Yeah, suboptimal is a good way of saying it. We will have to watch that Rift Herald as it does get put down, because although it's suboptimal and the Kindred isn't going to scale as quickly and isn't going to be as strong, the rest of the team is in a good position. You've got about 200 goal lead, a CS advantage on your Lucian. A little bit behind on Smittyj, but he's kind of just been sacrificed for the team. About 400 gold difference there. Interesting to see that Upset is actually still about even on gold with Sheriff on the Lucian down towards that bottom lane, even though he's about 10 CS away from him.
Things are looking relatively close across the board here, and the game probably won't look much different than that until this Rift Herald goes down.
Okay, it's time for my pun then. This is awful. It's really bad.
Well, the worse a pun joke is, the better it is.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So I was reading the newspaper the other day, and I saw a review for this carnival. And I read through it, and I was like, this is a really mean review, right? So I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the carnival with my friends and have a look. So I went to the carnival, and actually the carnival was really bad. So it turns out it was a fair review. NukeDuck jumps into the middle lane there as well.
Oh my god.
View.
That was the joke. That was, I didn't even, oh my god.
It's that bad. It's that bad.
Oh my lordy. That reminds me of another joke that we shouldn't say.
Well, we shouldn't say. We shouldn't say. We'll leave the jokes for now. Let's concentrate a little bit more on the action. 400 gold lead for H2K. You saw NukeDuck use his ultimate in the middle lane there. Wasn't able to get anything out of it, but now Sheriff is caught off in the top lane by himself.
You shouldn't be by yourself up here, mate. At least his spidey senses are tingling, right? And he will, well, they're sort of tingling.
Yeah, but Promisq's there now, so you can always gobble him up if
exactly,
the engage
exactly. Good instincts about Sheriff there, because you don't want to be under that tower by yourself. And anytime you lane swap as the carry in the bot side, make sure that you have your support with you. Same goes for solo queue. You do not want to be by yourself as that AD carry or whatever you're playing in bot lane nowadays. You gotta be with your support, else absolutely open yourselves up for those dives.
Yeah.
And now that nothing's happened there, look at the pings coming down here. This bot side is being pinged because that's another crab spawning. Another crab that Amazing wants to take away from Shook. And despite the fact that Amazing's taken all of these crabs, there is still decent CS. Well, Shook is doing fine as far as CS goes, but because Shook hasn't got a single mark this game, every single crab that spawns is terribly important.
If he gets it, we have to cheer. Okay, that's the rule.
We have to cheer?
We're 14 minutes into the game. This is going to be his first mark. Shook, congratulations, the first mark of the game.
Woo! I feel like they would cheer anyway, because they cheer at all crabs.
Yeah, I mean,
dying.
that's true, but we'll pretend it's for Shook, okay? He needs some sort of positive reinforcement. The team's 0-8.
No, that's fair. First mark of the game, everyone starts somewhere, and 1 is infinitely better than 0.
That is true.
Mathematically speaking.
Mathematically, you are correct.
There
Rifthold
is
used
the
in
Herald,
the mid lane.
okay.
Talked about it. He protect, he attack. Also, he smack this turret as well as they look for it in the middle lane. Rifthold will be able to chuck that out. There we go. H2K get first tower.
Perfect team rotation here from H2K, as from the top lane, Sheriff and Promisq come down to support the mid laner. Suddenly there's 4 bodies in that mid. Easy peasy first blood tower, and like I mentioned, that's the best tower to get. The best tower are those mid lane towers, because that opens up the rest of the map. Geographically speaking, the location, it's all about location.
It's important.
And that first tower in the mid lane, really important. It also got a second charge on the second tower, if you saw that, which means that tower is also now on like 2/3 health. Yep. So that extra points.
We will see as you say, that second tower with the Rift Tower changes that happened a few patches ago still does about 1,500 damage for each of those next charges, no matter what health it's on. So if it can get that second charge off, you can really chunk through some of those turrets. Inferno Dragon is on the cards here. H2K got the first one. They do have a slight gold lead here as well. And Blade of the Ruin King. Luden's Echo finished. The Blood Razor finished on Shook as well. Amazing. Jumps in onto Promisq. Shook off towards the side here as well. Is that the target you want? There we go. Sheriff, the one they catch up and upset, jump straight into the midst of it all. Schalke get one. And they will just retreat from this because Selfie can land those paddle stars.
That was incredible team synergy from H2K there. The hard engage onto Sheriff, who's standing right next to a Kindred that Amazing had ulted. That's ridiculous just to stop the Kindred ultimate going down. And that kind of team coordination there, if I said it was from H2K, I meant Schalke. Yeah. That's just rolled me. You're not even going to correct me, are you? Just going to let me look like a numpty. That was really solid team coordination, and that is the difference between winning a small skirmish like that and getting the Inferno Dragon and just having nothing. So we're going to see it again here. As Amazing engaged on the top side on the Promisq, I'm thinking, all right, Amazing, mate, yeah, sure you want to take this one, not great target, but look at that. As Vander engages, just throw out the Glacial Prison, and you can't save Sheriff. And with Shook chunked out as well, free dragon and the best kind of dragon, the Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, getting the Infernal just to buff up all of that damage from the team. Schalke perhaps looked a little bit lost at the start of it, but now coming back into their own, still 1,000 gold behind. We actually saw Chachi go down and steal away a Gromp from Shook, who was invading as well, which had a mark on it. So denying those marks as much as possible as well. H2K have had a good early game for the first time in a long time. We now need to see if they can actually do something with it.
Yes, they do have a slight gold lead, but a team that is 0-8 would suggest that they're not quite so good at anything. Yeah, but especially being able to translate leads into anything meaningful. But at the same time, this was the first time they even got first blood. It's not like their early games are good and they just can't do anything else. This is still an improvement thus far from H2K. And I just want to talk a tiny whiny bit here about the itemization of of Kindred, because
Let's do that. Let's do
normally we see the Warrior enchant coming out Kindred, unless I'm talking rubbish.
No, you're right.
I believe we normally see the Warrior enchant, and the difference mostly is sustained damage and who you're coming up against. Tankier targets you're up against, the better value you get out of this Blood Razor, and especially if he's going into a Black Cleaver next, which it looks like he's most likely going to be doing, you get those stacks stacking up faster because you're just attacking faster, right? And so that makes your team much more efficient at taking down those tanks as well. So an active choice has been made here from Shook, saying, all right, we're going up against a tanky lineup here. Let's deal with that better. Let's go for the Blood Razor.
It makes a lot of sense, and if it works out for him when you've got the Lucian on the back line as well, doing that damage, shredding through those tanks, you can work those front-to-back team fights that we so often talk about. You can't always assassinate the back line, so sometimes you need to just work through the Sejuani, work through the Poppy, and then get towards that back line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the classic misconception of League of Legends, is you don't just have to go for the carries.
ADC, why you focus tank?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's the best to do.
Well, Vander is going to get focused here by H2K as they turn this one around. Amazing, and NukeDuck are on their way. Promisq flashes, upset, pops the Demonic Ascension. Glacial Prism misses, but Chachi's off towards the side here as well, and there's no reaction yet from H2K.
There's 5 people here.
Continually pushing forward, but H2K are the ones that are actually forcing Schalke away.
All right, a 5v3, H2K sort of come out on top there.
They do come out on top.
Yeah, they'll take that any day of the week. And that means you can get a cheeky push into the mid side. Vizicsacsi might be getting caught out here.
Yeah, cleanse used by Selfie just to keep himself away from that stun. You never know what's going to happen. A hammer shock up from Chachi, and NukeDuck can follow up as well.
He nicked the chickens.
Oh,
cheeky. Strictly is looking for anything, just trying to find something, and another mark in the top side on that Grom that he's not going to get access to. And this is why, honestly, for me, this is the downside of Kindred is basically just what you're seeing here, where it's so hard to consistently get these marks, especially if you're playing on a team that isn't so good at controlling the map, or just a team that isn't so good in general, as H2K have struggled in this split so far. I'm being nice to them, they're 0 and 8. But when you're playing a champion that needs to get these marks, and they spawn in the enemy jungle or from getting kills onto enemy players, how do you reliably get these marks? It's very difficult to do so. And the new Kindred is probably, I don't even know when she got reworked, ages ago.
A year and a half ago.
Newer Kindred, I guess you can say, really relies on these marks to not only just get pure damage, but also things like attack range and stuff like that, and Q buffs too. So 1 mark at 20 minutes, not great.
Yeah, suboptimal, I think.
Yes, suboptimal indeed.
However, what we haven't really broken into is how these teams actually do as they get towards the later portion of the game. You've got scaling on both sides. We talked about how amazing one is hit level 6. You've got double tank. You have a lot of damage coming out from Yasuo and Swain. But on the other side, you've got double AD carry. You've got a tank frontline. You've got the Tahm Kench, and you've always got a Zoe. So although the game has slowed down a little bit from the early game from H2K, I don't think they're too worried about this game going to 30, 40 minutes. No,
I think for both these teams, as the later the game goes on, there are definite win conditions for both of them. I think the team comps, the team fights from the team comps, or if you want to play for more of a pick-orientated game as well, both of those are possible. You know, you've got the Sejuani ultimate, you've got Alistar. Speaking of which...
There's the Sej. Oh, into the knock into the wall. Chachi there as well. Steadfast presence, and Smittyj can't really do too much apart from knock them away. The rest of the team's on its way. Vander.
He's out.
Flash. Knock. There we go. The cow. I know, does something. He's the bull. I mess with the bull and get the horse. That would have been the best line.
It's okay.
I got it in the end. Let's pretend I said that.
It's okay. It's okay. Now, we'll just say that you were patient with your line.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were better in that regard, and you had slightly more patience, you would have made it as a doctor.
It's true. It's true. Although in England, you know, you get given your patience. It's not like they come to you and like, you know, you
go out on the street and you find patience.
Yeah. Just pick up random people from the street as they're picking up Promisq up towards this top side. Here comes the teleport in by H2K, though they want to take this fight. Upset and amazing on their way. Schalke in the 4v3. Smittyj knocked back. Shook not got the damage, and Smittyj now caught in the wrong place. Schalke finally come alive in this game, pick up a couple of kills quickly.
And I was talking about you can play for the team fights or for the picks. And they went for the picks this time around, and Alistar, Sejuani, Poppy, however you want to go for it, decent engage from the side of Schalke. And if you catch the team unawares, you can do exactly as we just saw there. So Schalke using that to advantage right now, and looks like they might not be done.
Selfie burns his own flash to get away from Vizicsacsi. Once again, that Poppy coming up big here for Schalke. He's always in such a good position, landing those knocks into the wall as well. And Schalke are starting to get towards these second items. You've got Infinity Edge on its way for NukeDuck. You've got the Rod of Ages into Zhonya's on its way for Upset. They are looking so strong as we get into the mid-game portion of this matchup.
And honestly, this right here starts with just a really good catch from NukeDuck. We're talking about the era NukeDuck, and he proved it right there with a solid catch on the Promisq. But my question here is why? Why are you in this position if you're H2K? Genuinely just 2 players pushed up that far. That's a classic solo queue move right there. And where's the communication from the rest of H2K? And what were the rest of H2K doing on the map? I feel like there's just no reason for that play whatsoever. And yes, you got a good catch if you're Schalke, but I mean, it's easy to catch a fish that's on land, basically. That's the kind of situation that was in.
It is very easy to catch a fish on land. In fact, you can buy them from people. They've caught them for you. It's quite nice. But what I want to see next from Schalke is a little bit more decisiveness in the way they play out the rest of this game. I want good vision control. They're setting up around the Baron. This is strong. They can catch H2K out. But to do that, probably want to get this mid tower pretty soon as well. Yeah, and I feel like Selfie has been handcuffed a lot of this game too. They opened up that mid lane pretty early on, and they were able to take that mid tower with the Rift Herald. But Selfie hasn't been able to roam around too much. He hasn't been able to get those picks at all either. And a lot of that is because it's just been shoved under his tower, and every now and then he gets caught out with something, maybe has to flash away, but he's not been able to make those aggressive plays like we were expecting out of him. And like you say, decisiveness, it's important. It's definitely a skill in League, and Schalke, if they want to prove that they are better than the 4-4 team that they are, and as Deficio was mentioning earlier, be that dark horse into playoffs, then let's take this game, take the bull by the horns, as you eloquently put before, and turn it into victory. Knockback on Amazing as he got put to sleep and set up around the Baron. Perfect there for H2K. They knew Chachi was down towards the bottom side, so they make the catch. And you can't count H2K out of this yet.
No.
Like, Schalke have got a couple of kills, but H2K are still well in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You just don't have to look further than these goal totals to see that H2K are totally in this game. They're ahead, and Shook gets his second
It's his
mark.
third, actually, so he must have got one with a kill.
Lordy.
Just accelerating away from Schalke.
He's rolling in it right now, 3 marks. But this is Amazing, a bit too far forward. You're a tank. And I think that's the thing here, is he thinks he's a lot tankier than he actually is and doesn't really respect the damage that comes out from H2K. And a really nice explosive cast as well there to secure that kill from Smittyj, who has been focused down a little bit, I would say, in this game, but still finding his way to be useful. And this is kind of the downside when you put emphasis on ganking a tank. He's still going to be useful. He just has to get tanky, and he's still got so much utility in his kit as well. So if H2K want to get, well, I don't want to say come back in this game, they're not really losing, but if they really want to get a solid point in it, I'll talk about this later, because Vizicsacsi,
Hammer Shock does knock away Shook, and they will stop the fight because of that. Yeah.
And Shook can do this still. He can gank these tanky lanes. I know I kind of just talked against ganking tanky lanes, but from Shook's personal standpoint, he still wants to get strong. You know, it doesn't matter if it's like who he's killing, he's going to get kills. And kills are kills, kills are god. He wants that stuff, and he has built to be able to take down these tanks too. And whether or not these big team fights come out, or whether it does turn more into this kind of like pick fest, this slug fest, where you're just catching people out of position, catching them off guard a little bit. Both of these teams can play either style, honestly, whether you utilize the Zoe to do it from H2K's side, or whether you utilize, you know, the Sejuani stuff like I mentioned before. I feel like this is kind of 2 styles that are 2 teams who want to do the same thing, and we'll see who can misposition the most and therefore get caught out of position.
Who can make better picks?
Yes,
the way we phrase it here.
That's what I was saying.
We're going to be positive.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree with you. I'm slightly concerned if you're a Schalke fan when I look at this mid game, because last split they had a very bad habit of getting ahead and then stalling out the mid game and losing a late game fight. H2K last split were very much the late game fight team. You know, you get Sheriff in a fight near the end of the game and you can absolutely decimate. I love this from Schalke though, forcing the priority in the mid lane. They get the push on the wave, and they're going to get this tower pretty much for free. H2K might try to collapse.
They do decide to collapse here. They have a decent team fight. Smittyj can get a nice explosive cast that's not blocked by the wind wall. They can still engage.
Sheriff, they want to push forward. Sleep lands onto amazing Vander. Pops the unbreakable will. Sheriff with a culling from the side as well. And it's a Barney in the jungle. It's a brawl between H2K and Schalke. And you have to feel the winner will be the winner of the game. That's a superb play. They say it's his week. They say it's his year. Well, this is his game. NukeDuck comes up huge.
And NukeDuck could have engaged way earlier in that team fight. There were loads of knockups coming through, but he was patient and he waited for the perfect time. The multiple knockup deletes 2 people from that team fight. And now, with 3 people dead on the side of H2K, including their jungler, does Schalke take this game with the Baron?
Taking it by the scruff of the neck. NukeDuck is low here, and you have to remember Selfie has the possibility of catching someone out. Paddle Star only hits the Baron. Amazing low, has to use the smite. Now Chachi in there. Selfie, it's all on you. You want to carry your team. You want to take them from 0-8 to 1-9. Or 1-8, in fact, that's what you have to do. Chachi caught out by Promisq, being gobbled up by this Tahm Kench. Will be able to run away, but here's Sheriff from the side as well. And Chachi not tanky enough to go through C3. Smittyj got the flank. And Schalke maybe through this game by going for the Baron. Vander dead. Somehow H2K find the fight they needed. Selfie kicked into upset. There's the culling. Goodbye, Schalke. And hello, H2K's hopes.
Schalke went from getting a 3-kill team fight victory to being 4 kills down around the Baron pit. Got to give huge credit to Selfie, though, the way he was able to stop Schalke from going for that Baron play. And so much damage coming out of this Zoe. It's so risky. If you do have a Zoe alive on the enemy team, I said there was no jungler. Let's go for the Baron. But hey, if you've got a Selfie, you can put out this damage. Just look what he does to Amazing here. Absolutely chunks him, which forces the smite. And that's crucial because now it means any of this play going down around the Baron, if Schalke decide to stay on the Baron, will come down to which champion has the highest damage. I mean, and here it is. This has just gone on for so long here that the recall, I mean, that's greedy. Do you not see that teleport?
Yeah, you do.
You have to see that
just
teleport.
runs at them at the end, and then Vander pops the stopwatch, but Tahm Kench Abyssal Voyage for the chase, and H2K just able to mop up. Greed from Schalke, you have to feel there.
Greed and disrespect, I would say, too. I mean, they thought that they had the game in the pocket there, and I think they could have played that more optimally. I think that kind of goes without saying. But even just not to see the TP, they'll just say, oh, well, guess we don't get Baron now. Let's just recall, let's just reset. Wait, no, actually, H2K are actually going to do something proactive here and really bring it. And, oh, gosh, now we've lost 4 people and the Baron.
Great calls from H2K, though, and from Smittyj, who, as you said, fell behind in the early game, was camped, but you don't need much gold to be a good tank. He did exactly what he needed to do there, has the Frozen Fist for that little bit extra damage, and now H2K with this Baron buff can look to start to chunk through these towers. They've already got one, looking for a second down towards this bottom lane as well, and Schalke don't really have an easy answer. Where's the wave clear on this team? You're looking for upset, really.
Yeah, that is a really good point to bring up. Wave clear is the way you break sieges or hard engage. I feel like Schalke would much prefer to go for the engage because their wave clear is pretty awful, and it might take a few minion waves to do it, but H2K can certainly bring down this tower.
You've got a cannon minion here as well, just stand by it.
And Vander is hovering around the side. I think he knows as well that the best way to stop this one, and Amazing too, is to try and find an engage. But that's so difficult because if you catch a carry, they get gobbled. Huge front line as well.
Yeah, Inhibitor Tower does go down. There's the engage, only onto Sheriff. He's going to get gobbled up by Promisq. Shook down towards this bottom side as well. The knock-up on Smittyj is big. Perfect Lamb's Respite will keep Smittyj alive for the moment, but H2K are just running for the hill. Shook down. Smittyj going to fall soon as well, and Sheriff, Promisq, and Selfie need to get out of this one because Schalke have found the fight they needed. Teleport from behind here. Chachi trying to get the flank if he can. Amazing still on the chase. Chachi there. Selfie. No flash. Can't jump the wall, but can cleanse away from that storm. Promisq eat Abyssal Voyage to get Sheriff out of there. And Selfie will survive for now. At
the end, they're trading a cleanse for teleport. Pretty worth for H2K. But I mentioned, you've got to go for the engage if you want to break a siege, and that's what they went for in the end. And I want to highlight NukeDuck there again. And he was this kind of player to watch coming into this game, the year of the duck and whatnot. But he had a really good wind wall, actually, there, where they were fighting Smittyj, and he just put the wind wall behind. So it means
Let's have a look.
Absolutely, we're going to see it here as well. H2K maybe a bit overconfident here as well, thinking that they've got the tower and they can go for, you know, they're in the lead, let's go for it. But look at this wind wall, it completely blocks the re-engaged fight, honestly, from H2K. And you mentioned that Lamb's Respite was perfect. I beg to differ, young man, because it meant that Shook was put in a position where now he's dead. Because he stood forward to try and protect Smittyj.
You're right.
So whereas, yes, he delays the death of Smittyj for a short time, because they're not actually able to properly re-engage into that fight, that's all it is a delay of his death. And whereas,
as a doctor, that's all I did, though.
well, to be fair, that's all anyone's doing.
Exactly.
Really. Every second that passes, the second closer to...
Okay, let's slightly morbid topic of conversation. Let's have a look at this mid lane tower as H2K are going to siege it. No Baron buff remains on them. Sheriff got out a little bit, but will be okay for the moment. Is at 3 items on that Lucian. Has the Blade of the Ruin King, the Essence Reaver, and the Black Cleaver, so double cleaver on the side of H2K. They will shred through that armor if they can get some of these auto attacks off. Shook still looking for a little bit of a flank if he can get it.
And what's great about Black Cleaver on Lucian specifically is it comes from, you can stack it on your culling. So you fire that culling out, and obviously you're just going to hit the front line, because that's generally what happens when you have the culling into well, the front line. So it's going to hit them, and normally it used to be called the dulling back in the day when Lucian came out, because it was so bad versus tanks. But when you have that Black Cleaver, you're just almost immediately applying a massive armor shred onto your target, and it's a quality item to pick up when you're up against people like Poppy, people like Sejuani and Alistar, and even the Swain, really.
Well, just going to interrupt you there for a second, Foxdrop. I apologize. Today we are privileged to be joined by a very special audience from Lausanne, Switzerland. This weekend, the International Olympic Committee is hosting a forum on esports to learn more about the subject. We would like to issue a warm welcome to the International Olympic Committee who are tuning into this match. We hope that you enjoy and look forward to your event tomorrow. Let's jump back on into the action, guys. That deserves a round of applause, you're right. But Foxdrop, talk to me a little bit about how these next few team fights are going to play out. What are the teams playing around? What are the objectives we're looking for?
I feel like the way this game has gone down so far has been much more about the picks and the team fights. And I think we're going to see more of the same, honestly. But we absolutely could see team fights, and I want to see that, because without it, I feel like Shook's Kindred pick is just a little bit ineffective. I mean, he's sitting at a pretty bad 0-2-0. There's the soft counter to Gragas, as you're seeing there, with the steadfast presence. And this could be a team fight opening up here, but probably not, as both teams look to walk away.
It's kind of like, what are they fighting over? You've still got a minute left on both the big objectives. Like, Scuttle Crab, sure, that's great. But apart from that, there's not really much you want to force the tempo on for.
I feel like this is a common trend between lower teams in LCS, or not just EU LCS, but really...
Yeah, Josh is going to jump forward here, catch a Selfie out a little bit. The hammer shot not going to be enough to slow him down. Here comes the double knock on NukeDuck with the chase. Sheriff off towards the side. Glacial Prism misses. Selfie still alive, and Shook takes down NukeDuck. One down. Chachi kills Selfie in the backline though, and now it's the Sheriff show. He's the guy that needs to do everything here. But H2K can't quite catch Vander. Chachi has been able to escape off towards the top side of the map as well. Shook still on the chase. Smittyj kills Vander. That's one down. Upset has popped the Demonic Ascension to try and keep himself alive, but Shook is on the chase, as is Sheriff. The red buff, that's Upset into the Lamb's Respite. Trying to keep himself alive, but that's not going to work for too long. H2K once again find the fight they need.
Just engaged from Schalke, and ends up being a 1-for-3 against Schalke. It was too much, you know. Vizicsacsi just bombed it down that mid lane, and flash charged Selfie, wasn't even into anything, just randomly charged him. And what are you looking to get out of that? And you mentioned that before, what are you even fighting after? And the point I was going to make is I feel like this happens a lot with the lower teams, is they just do that. They just fight to try and win
kills,
fights.
We might as well just get kills. Yeah.
And it's less composed, and I mean, I guess it works to a certain degree, but at some point, I mean, like you're seeing here, Schalke overstepping too much, and you're going to give another Baron away to H2K.
Pay for the fight with a Baron. H2K, second one of the game for them. They are 5,000 gold ahead, Foxdrop. A magnificent advantage for them when they came into the week as the 0-8 team. Schalke, a lot of people said this is going to be an easier week for them. They should be 6-4 at the end of the week. Well, H2K are trying to prove that one wrong.
Yeah, and Schalke are always a team just on the cusp of greatness, on the cusp of looking like a top team. They show you flashes of brilliance, and then they show you
flashes of that sort of
flashes of that. Blimey, Zoe. As a scary, scary champion, she does so much damage from such a long range, and the Elder Dragon is huge in this game. Oh, it's going down. It's going to be so close.
Amazing. Could look for the steal. Has the flash. Elder resets, but gets pushed back straight away by H2K. Schalke, 4 members strong. Vander on his way as well. H2K could be the game-winning play for them if they secure this Elder. They don't know where Schalke are. Now they realize, amazing, shredded through that Black Cleaver doing work. Bam, and knock away. Amazing, get in there. Chachi! That is what you need if you want to make a big play. They catch out Tahm Kench as well. H2K trying to find a fight out of the midst of this all. But Schalke, hello, Schalke null fear. That is what you need if you're going to win games and if you're going to make it to playoffs.
That was absolutely incredible by Vizicsacsi. This is a guy who's been criticized for his performance thus far. It was the MVP. Oh, I can't believe it. That is MVP Vizicsacsi right there. Forget Schalke Vizicsacsi, who thus far has been a little bit disappointed. There's nothing disappointed about that. Holy moly.
Schalke just come up absolutely massive in the final fight. The combination of Chachi with the knockback, NukeDuck jumping in as well, getting the kills. Schalke null fear finally fight against their demons. They take down H2K and they go 5-4.
What a ridiculous ending to that game. Absolutely incredible. Look at the smile on Vizicsacsi's face. That absolutely says it.
I mean, after the bad engage he did on Selfie that cost them the Baron pretty much.
Totally.
That was redemption for the former MVP top laner.
A redemption arc in 5 minutes. Absolutely.
That's the anime I want to watch.
Absolutely incredible stuff right there. And I don't know what's more shocking, the fact that that happened, or that that's the end. The game's over, by the way, now. We were talking about how H2K, you know, like 5k gold up. This is maybe, you know, H2K pulling an H2K and turning things around, and just, I'm lost for words, mate. I have nothing to say. Incredible.
You do have to look at it from the side of H2K as well, though. They did a good job. This was a much improved H2K. Early game was strong. First time they've ever got first blood. You could see like the hug from Upset and Promisq there. It's like, yeah, you got me in lane. You were just better in the lane, but still unwinned? Still without a win. That's the way I was going with that. 0-9 at the moment, and they need to start picking those wins if they're ever going to make it to playoffs. We're going to have a quick look once again at that final fight. This replay was just,
It is. Yes, that is the best word to describe it. Absolutely.
You know how we talked about doing things for sustenance before, like you eat food for sustenance? This isn't that. This is a delicious KBBQ that is sumptuous and just perfect.
Oh my gosh. I just
300 HP on the Elder Dragon.
I'm honestly at a loss of words. I mean, that was incredible, but you're playing versus Poppy. You have to think, what's coming in here? But no, just such a good knockback, and not only do they get the Elder Dragon in that situation, but this happens afterwards as well. You win a massive team fight, and you look at the minion wave prep here from the bot. Everything fell into place, and it's just like, you know what, boys? Shall we win the game now?
Yeah, let's just win the game right now.
That?
Look at that gold as well.
That is ridiculous. At least they were ahead. There's that little blip right at the end where they technically were ahead in gold. Oh boy.
Overall, great stuff for Schalke. H2K though will look to Sheriff and say you had a good game. They'll look to Selfie, they'll say you had a good game. Even Shook, without getting those marks, still performed relatively well. Promisq as well. Promisq had a good game.
Yes, he did. On it, pretty well, big improvement across the board, honestly, I would say, from H2K. I mean, if we just went back in time 5 minutes, we would say, yeah, H2K maybe even favored to win this entire game. And if someone is just going to look at the standings and see that H2K now 0-9, oh, big surprise, H2K were 0-8, now they're 0-9, whoop-de-doo. I mean, if you saw that game, that was not the H2K we've seen before. And if H2K do want to turn things around and start getting some wins under their belt, they released a letter as well on Twitter as well, H2K, the organization, saying they're still trying their best, they're still, you know, they are putting the best out there, and that was ridiculously close.
Much improved.
But that's player of the split for me.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, we also want to hear from you guys. Who is your player of the game or player of the split? You can choose between NukeDuck, Vizicsacsi, and Upset on the Twitter poll at LOL eSports. If Chachi hadn't been on that list, I think I would have just added him myself and told our social media guys they should have changed it. Misfits Gaming is, though, the only undefeated team, but now they face their Kryptonite Roccat in our next game. Before we get to that, let's see what Schalke's mid laner has to say after that win.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. Now, I'm joined by NukeDuck. Now, there's been a lot of talk about it being finally the year of the duck, it finally having arrived. You buying into this?
Of course, I'm the seller, you know, I'm selling it.
Okay, fantastic. And I want to ask you, before we get into the game a little bit, generally speaking, like you've had such a long time in the LCS here. You've had a lot of disappointment, but also a lot of success. Do you think this is the best that you've played so far?
I think I play pretty well, yeah, but I have my periods. I feel like I'm kind of up and down in the LCS over the years, so I feel like right now I'm on the high note, yeah.
Well, and it's coming at a good time now. Getting into the game, you also had a little bit of help towards the end because Vizicsacsi pulled off what might be the sickest play of the split. What was going through your guys' mind when that happened?
Yeah, you know, because we just got poked out by Zoe, so we were not sure if we could contest, you know, but we still didn't want to give them Drake and Elder. So we were, you know, like really debating what to do, and then Chachi just, you know, makes the hero play, you know, knocks 3 of them out. Elder Drake is 200 HP, and yeah, we just win from there, you know. It was just quite a roller coaster.
And off the back of that, you guys now find yourselves at 5-4. Schalke had a very disappointing spring split. Is this where the playoff run begins?
Yeah, I think we are definitely like aiming for playoffs. This time we have a good record now, like 5-4 in the first round is pretty well good. So I think definitely, yeah, we're looking at playoffs.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing how far you guys can go. Thank you for joining me, NukeDuck, and congrats on your win.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Don't go anywhere because Rocket versus Misfits is coming right up. We'll see you in 3.5.
She turning someone on towards Vander.
What is happening?
Promisq flashes.
Oh!
All right, dude. But you know, if you don't click out, you just drop on the ground, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
The rest of the team's on its way. Vander.
He's out.
Flash.
Never
Knock.
mind.
There we go. No,
You go out on the street and you find
Yeah, just pick up random people from the street as they're picking up Promisq up towards this top side.
Be there a bit late, but I'm coming.
Kill Yasuo.
In H2K and Schalke, and you have to feel the winner will be the winner of the game. That's a superb play. They say it's his week. They say it's his year. Well, this is his game. Catch out Tahm Kench as well. H2K trying to find a fight out of the midst of this all. But Schalke, hello! Schalke null fear! Schalke null fear finally fight against their demons. They take down H2K, and they go 5-4.